Hi, everyone. This is Mike, Ashley, and Katie from Time to Pet, and thank you for joining us for today's Advanced Rate Increase webinar. We will be getting started with our webinar in just a couple minutes, but before we begin, a few announcements. Today, we'll be covering how to increase your rates in Time to Pet. For many pet care businesses, rate increases typically happen in January, so we wanted to host this webinar today to give you plenty of time to determine if your business will be increasing your rates. We will be playing 3 short videos and doing a Q&A after each one. Our first video is on basic rate increases. The next video shows how to grandfather rates for existing customers. And the last video shows how to make rate increases on extra fees, frequency discounts, templates, and packages. If you have any questions during the videos, you can ask those in the chat section on the far right side of the screen, and we'll spend about 5 minutes or so answering as many questions as we can at the end of each related video. At the end of the last video, we will be opening up the floor for an extended Q&A to touch on any questions we did not get to answer. We'll also be sending a follow-up email after the webinar to answer any additional questions you may have and with a link to the recorded version. We are going to give everyone a minute or two to get settled. Thanks again for joining us. Hi everyone, Mike from Time to Pet here again. We are almost ready to get started, but for anyone who has just joined us, today's rate increase webinar will include 3 videos on basic rate increases, how to grandfather rates for existing customers, and rate increases on extra fees, frequency discounts, templates, and packages. After each video, we will open the floor for a Q&A session related to that specific video. If you have any questions during or after the videos, you can ask those in the chat section on the far right. Let's go ahead and get started with our first video on basic rate increases.
When raising rates, pet care companies need to decide how the rate increase will affect existing clients and their existing scheduled services. There are a few ways these are commonly handled. 1. Applying the rate increase only to new requests made after the increase, leaving all existing scheduled services at the old rates. 2. Applying the rate increase to any scheduled services with a scheduled date after the rate increase, including existing scheduled services. 3. Applying the rate increase only to new clients and grandfathering existing clients in at the old rates. Or 4. Applying a larger rate increase to new clients and a smaller rate increase to existing clients. This demo will show you how to configure your rate increase in Time to Pet for any of these scenarios, as well as cover other issues related to changing your company's rates. First, we'll look at the simplest type of rate increase, where rates on any existing scheduled services are staying the same, and rates are only increasing for requests made after the increase date. For example, in this scenario, if we were increasing rates on January 1st, a client who submits a request in December for services in January would pay the old rates, but any client submitting a new request after January 1st would pay the new rates. To make this rate increase, On January 1st, we'd simply go into the services list, edit the services we want to increase the rates on, and save the new rates. If we then go and look at an existing invoice for services in January, we'd see that those services are being invoiced at the old rate of $22. But if we schedule any new services, they'll be invoiced at the new rate of $25. With the next type of rate increase, you're wanting to increase rates on all existing services on the schedule after the rate increase, in addition to any future events you schedule. For example, if you're increasing rates on January 1st, you'd want all the events that are already on the calendar for the new year to have the new rates, even if those bookings were submitted before January 1st. Just like you did with the last type of rate increase, on January 1st, you'd go into the services list, edit the services you want to increase rates on, and save the new rate. I already did this as part of the last rate increase, so the next step is to go to the scheduler and use the bulk update tool. In the bulk update tool, you'll need to select all future events. The easiest way to do this is to switch to month view and then use the select all visible option. There may be a few days of the previous month in this view that you'll need to deselect. To select multiple months of service, select all on the first month, then use the arrows to navigate to the next month and select all visible there. Repeat until you've selected all your future services. If you're not sure what the last month you have future services scheduled in is, you can use the upcoming first and last visits report in the schedule section of reporting to see when your last future visit is. In my case here, it's March 31st, so I'll go back to bulk update and select everything from January through March. Once you've selected all your future events, click the Update Events button on the top right. Then on the next screen, click the Bulk Refresh Rates button. A window will pop up to confirm your selection to bulk refresh rates, and click the Refresh Rates button again. Now, if you go look at future scheduled events, you'll see that all have been updated to the new rate. Note that in either of these cases where you're changing the rates of a service in the services list, clients who have a custom rate on their profile are not affected. To change the rate of a client with a custom rate, navigate to the client's profile and then to the Rates tab. If you simply want the client's new rate to be the current default rate for the service, click the Use Default button. If you want to set a new custom rate for the client, enter the new rate and click the blue Save icon. Rate changes in a client's Rates tab work the same way for existing scheduled services as rate changes in the services list. If you want the rates on existing scheduled events to remain at the old rate, you don't need to do anything else. If you want existing scheduled events to be updated to the new rate, you would need to use the bulk update tool to select the existing scheduled events and do a bulk rate refresh.
Hi everyone, and thanks for watching our first video. We will be spending a few minutes now answering questions. As a reminder, if we don't get to your question here, we will be doing an extended Q&A at the end of the last video. We will also be sending along a follow-up email with a link to the recorded webinar and answers to all of the questions that are asked. We'll go ahead and give you guys a minute or two to get some questions entered. We did get a question about removing any discounts, specifically frequency discounts. So we will be covering removing frequency discounts in our last video. So we do have a section dedicated to those frequency discounts. Awesome. Well, at this time, we will be starting the second video. As a reminder, if you have any questions, you can ask those in the chat section, and we will answer those at the end of the video. If we missed any questions, we will be answering those at the end of the last video as well. Let's go ahead and get started with our second video on grandfathering rates for existing customers.
For the next type of rate increase, we want to raise rates for new clients while either keeping existing clients at the old rate or only doing a smaller rate increase for them. To do this, we'll need to set custom rates for existing clients. Time2Pet has a bulk custom client rates tool that makes it easy to set custom rates in bulk rather than having to set them individually for each of your existing clients. The bulk custom client rates tool can be found in the Settings menu under Advanced Settings. You'll see two columns here for each service. Current cost, which is the rate you currently have set as the default rate for the service in the services list, and new cost, which is where you can enter the custom rate you want to apply to existing clients in bulk. So if you simply want to keep all existing clients at the current default rates, you can just click the Set button without making any changes in the new cost field. Or if you want to set a new custom rate for existing clients, you would enter that in the New Cost field, and then click the Set button. Note that each service has its own Set button, and you'll need to click that for each bulk rate you want to set. So here I'm keeping the rate for dog walking for existing clients at the current default rate of $20, and increasing the rate for pet sitting from $20 to $22 for existing clients. Now to increase rates for new clients, I would then go to the services list and change the default rate for those services to the new client rate. I'll increase the default rates for both pet sitting and dog walking to $25 for new clients. So if I go and look at the Rates tab for one of my existing clients, you'll see that they have custom rates set for both services. But if I add a new client now, their rates are $25 for both services. Setting custom rates in bulk works the same way for existing scheduled events as other rate changes. If you want the rates on existing scheduled events to remain at the old rate, you don't need to do anything else. But if you want existing scheduled events updated to the new rate, you would need to use Bulk Update to select the existing scheduled events and do a bulk rate refresh. Also note that by default, bulk custom rates are applied to all existing clients, including those who already have custom rates set on their profiles. However, you can prevent this and only apply bulk custom rates to a specific group of clients by first using the filter options on the Bulk Custom Client Rates tool before bulk setting custom rates. Let's start over with the Bulk Custom Client Rates tool and see how this would work. At the top of the Bulk Custom Client Rates page, you'll see the Filter Clients for Rate Adjustments option. By clicking this, you'll see all the same client filters that are available to you in client reports and when building mass email lists. This allows you to select a specific group of clients and only apply bulk custom rates to them and not to any of your other existing clients. Let's look at some examples of how you might use this. Want to set custom rates for only clients who don't already have custom rates? Use the Clients with Custom Service Rates filter, select the service you want, and the Not Customized option. Or if you wanted to set a specific bulk custom rate for clients who already have a custom rate, you could use one of the other options, such as exactly, less than, greater than, or not equal to select those clients with custom rates. Let's say you only wanted to grandfather rates for clients who had used your services within the past 6 months or have an upcoming scheduled service. You could use the Scheduled Between filter and select that date range. As you can see, there are a lot of filter options here. Just note that any custom rates you set based on filters will only apply to your existing clients. So for example, if you use the clients in zip code filter to set a custom rate for clients in a certain zip code, that would only apply to your existing clients who live in that zip code. If you later add a new client who lives in that zip code, their rates would be the default rates, unless you went in and manually customized them in their Rates tab. You also have the option to use multiple filters together. After selecting your first filter, click the Add Another Filter button and select another. When multiple filters are selected, use the OR filters option to find clients that match at least one of the filters, or the AND filters option to find clients that match all the filters. After selecting your filters, you can click the View Clients Included button to preview the clients that the custom rates will be applied to and confirm that they are the correct ones. Then you can proceed with setting the bulk custom rates below, and these custom rate changes will only be applied to your filtered clients and not any of your other clients. There may come a point in time where you no longer want your clients to have the custom rates you had previously set for them, and instead want to bring them up to the current default rates for a service. To do this, you'd come back to the Bulk Custom Clients Rate tool and click the Remove All Customizations option for that service. Just like with setting custom rates in bulk, removing customizations only applies to the specific service you click it for, and you can use filters to only remove customizations from a specific group of clients.
Hi everyone, and thank you for watching our second video. We will be spending a few minutes now answering questions. As a reminder, you can ask all of your questions in the chat box on the far right. And if we don't get to your question here, we will be doing an extended Q&A at the end of the last video. There was also a couple questions that came in about templates. So most certainly templates will be covered in our third video. So if you have any specific questions on templates, we will be covering those in our next video. I also wanted to remind everyone that we are recording this demo. So if the videos are moving a little too fast, we will be recording this and we will send you a copy of that recording. You'll have all of the functionality that you have with the standard YouTube video. So you can pause, you can rewind, you can stop, you can restart. All of that will be included in the recorded version. So we did get a question about adding a label or a name to customized rates for clients. So unfortunately, there is not a way to add a customization to a rate change, but what you most certainly can do is use client flags to help you keep track of which customers have custom rates. So client flags is a really flexible tool. We can go ahead and include a link to the help doc on client flags, but absolutely you can use client flags to show you really quickly and easily which customers have custom rates. A question on how to filter reports that show you custom rates. So most certainly we do have filters for client flags and you can run reports based on those filters. That's a great question and you absolutely can run those reports. You also have the ability to export a list of all of your customers' rates from that same bulk rate update tool that we demonstrated. So we will also include a link there in the follow-up email showing you exactly how that process would work. Awesome. At this time, we're going to be starting the last video. As a reminder, you can ask any questions you may have in the chat section, and we will answer these at the end of the video, where we will also be answering any other questions we may have missed. Let's go ahead and get started with our third video on rate increases on extra fees, frequency discounts, templates, and packages.
Now let's take a look at how rate increases on extra pet fees, weekend and after-hour fees, and holiday fees work. One difference to note between these extra fees and the primary rates for services is that extra fees cannot be customized on a client-by-client basis. So any rate increases to extra fees will apply to all clients. Extra pet fees are set individually for each service and can be updated by clicking the Edit button for that service. Weekend and after-hour fees are also set individually for each service and can be found in the Auto Fees tab. And holiday fees can be edited in the Holidays tab of the Services list. The way rate increases of extra fees affect existing scheduled events works a little differently than service rate changes. Like with service rates, if you want to apply extra fee changes to existing scheduled events, you can use Bulk Update to refresh the rates on those existing scheduled events. The Bulk Refresh Rates option in Bulk Update always refreshes all rates associated with the event, including the main services rate, any add-on services rates, any extra pet, after-hours, weekend, or holiday fees. The difference is when you want to keep the old rates on existing scheduled services. Since extra fees are based on certain attributes of the event, they're designed to automatically refresh when those attributes change. For example, extra pet fees are based on the number of pets selected for that event. So if a pet is added or removed, this will trigger an automatic refresh of the extra pet fee. And after-hours, weekend, and holiday fees are based on the date or time of the event. So anytime an event is moved, a refresh of after-hours, weekend, and holiday fees is triggered. So if you want to keep the extra fees at the old rates for existing scheduled events, and you don't make any changes to those events, you don't have anything to worry about. But if you do change the number of pets on a service or the date and time, you may need to then manually adjust the extra fees back to the old rates. Now let's look at frequency discounts. Frequency discounts can be updated in each service's Frequency Discounts tab. There are a few different scenarios that can occur with changes to frequency discounts. First, if a service does not currently have a frequency discount and you add one, existing scheduled services are not initially affected. However, if you add to a client's existing scheduled services and that makes them eligible for the new frequency discount, it will be applied to those existing scheduled services. For example, if a client has 3 existing services scheduled in 1 week, and you add a frequency discount for 3 or more visits per week, the rates on those existing scheduled services will not change at that time. But if you later add a 4th visit to that week, the frequency discount would be applied to both that new visit and the 3 existing visits. If an existing scheduled event currently has a frequency discount and you disable frequency discounts for that service, the existing scheduled services will remain at the old frequency discount rates, but any new services added would be at the default rate. If an existing scheduled event currently has a frequency discount and you make a rate change to frequency discounts for that service, the existing scheduled services will remain at the old frequency discount rates, but any new services added to that period would use the new frequency discount rate. In all of these scenarios, if you wanted the existing scheduled events rates updated to the current frequency discount rates, you could use the Bulk Rate Refresh option in Bulk Update. Another thing to note is that just like extra fees, it is not possible to set custom frequency discounts on a client-by-client basis. So any frequency discounts you set or disable on a service will apply to all clients. Also, if a client has a custom rate set for a service that has a frequency discount, by default, the frequency discount rate will override their custom client rate anytime they have enough visits scheduled to qualify for the frequency discount. But this is a setting that Time2Pet support can change for your company if you desire. To do so, send us an email and let us know if you would prefer the custom client rate to always override the frequency discount, or if you would like the lower of the two or the higher of the two to always win. Now let's look at rate increases and templates. With templates, events will be invoiced at whatever the current service rate is at the time the events are approved. So if you make changes to the rates in the services list or to custom client rates, all the pending events on the template will approve at the new rates, and any events that had already been approved from the template will remain at the old rates. So for example, with this template here, these weeks that have already been approved would all be at the old rates, but starting January 3rd, when this pending week approves, the events would be at the new rates. If you want any of the existing approved events from a template to be at the new rates, you can use the bulk refresh rates option in bulk update. One thing to be aware of with templates is extra pet fees. Since extra pet fees are edited directly on the services you've added to a template, when you update the extra pet fees in the services list, extra pet fees on existing templates won't automatically be updated. If you want the extra pet fees updated on existing templates, you'll need to do it manually for each template. You can use the bulk edit items option on a template to manually update the extra pet fees for all of the services on that template. Next, we'll look at rate changes and packages. Rate increases on packages are fairly straightforward. When you change the rate on a package, that only changes the rate for any future purchases of that package. Any existing invoices for packages will not be changed. This is the same for both set price and discount percent packages. This concludes all the tools and functions related to rate increases within your company's Time2Pet dashboard. One final set of tools that we offer are our service rate calculators. These can be found at time2pet.com/free-tools. If you're struggling to decide exactly how much your rate should be, these calculators can show you the average rates for dog walking, dog sitting, pet sitting, or cat sitting in your area. Select a calculator and then enter your desired service area zip code in the search bar and choose a service duration you would like to see results for. The rate calculator will show you the state and national averages for that particular service. If there is enough data for your zip code, the calculator will also show the average for your region. Your results are saved below the tool, so feel free to search for different zip codes and durations to get a better idea of what to charge.
Hi everyone, and thanks again for joining us for our rate increase videos. We're now going to open the floor for an extended Q&A on rate increases. Please feel free to ask your questions in the sidebar, and as a reminder, we will be following up with an email that answers all of the questions that were asked and includes a link to the recorded webinar. So some questions that came in about removing discounts for frequency discounts. So as we demonstrated in the last video, frequency discounts work essentially the same as basic rate increases. Anything already scheduled would stay the same after a rate change for a frequency discount, unless the bulk refresh rates tool was used. A question about fees such as last minute fees or admin fees. So in this case, for these last minute fees, you're most likely using add-on services for these, in which case you would update them using the same methods for basic rate increases in that first video. Or if you wanted to grandfather these rates for existing clients, the methods in the second video would most certainly still be applicable to add-on fees or add-on services. A question about holiday fees and holiday rates where you wanted multiple rates on the same single day. So unfortunately in Time2Pet, it's only possible to have one automatic holiday fee per day. If you do charge different holiday fees in the same day, one commonly used option is to set the automated holiday rate to whatever is your most commonly used automated holiday fee, and then you can manually adjust that rate for any services that are a different amount. So for example, if for most of your services you charge $10 extra on Christmas, but you have one or two services where you charge 15, you can set your automated rate to 10 and then manually update those other services and set that rate to $15. We got a question about sending along a link to the free tools that we mentioned at the end of that video. I'm going to go ahead and add that to the chat section now. Time2Pet does support several free tools. The most popular are most certainly our rate calculators. Rate calculators in Time2Pet are built off of data from inside of our system. So you can enter your zip code in a service that you're thinking about offering, and Time2Pet will show you data based on the national average for that particular service type in the duration, and we'll even narrow that down a little bit further if we have enough data based on the zip code and the state. So of course, the only way we're able to generate this data is if we have the data inside of our system. The vast majority of Time2Pet customers are US based, which is why we have lots of great data in the US. Unfortunately, we don't have enough data for other countries like Canada and the UK. So we can't generate these rate calculators without that underlying data. So I'm sorry for any of our international customers. We're definitely hoping to have more data soon on international rates, but it's just not something that we're able to provide at this point just because we don't have enough data to generate the calculator. A question came in about frequency discount. Does that apply to all services or is that set on individual services? That's a great question. So frequency discounts are set on a service by service basis. So when you're creating your services, if you have dog walking 30 minutes and dog walking 60 minutes, you can have a frequency discount for the 30-minute service and one for the 60-minute service. Those are not able to be combined. So the customer would, of course, have to have 3 dog walking 30-minute services to get that frequency discount if you set the limit to 3 events. A question about not discounting holiday fees. So in Time2Pet, our discounts are based on the invoice level, not on the individual service level. So if you have a discount for a customer, that will include discounts on the holiday rates that are included in the invoice. A question about setting holiday rates for visits and a different holiday rate for overnight services. So unfortunately, Time2Pet doesn't support different holiday rates for different service types, but what you most certainly can do is set your holiday rate to be a percentage. So if you typically charge 10% extra for a holiday rate, of course, that's going to be a lower number for your services that cost less and a higher number for your services that cost more, like overnight services. So a question about the difference between the pet sitting services and the dog sitting services in the Time2Pet rate calculators. So that's purely based on the labels of individual services in our system. So if a customer offers pet sitting services, the data is going to be, of course, attributed to pet sitting. And if a customer has a service named dog sitting, then we're going to attribute that to dog sitting. So in reality, there may not be a lot of difference from one business to another between pet sitting and dog sitting, but for some of our customers, there are differences. That's why we have those broken out in that calculator. So a question about adding a same-day booking fee inside of Time2Pet. So at this point, it's not possible to add a same-day booking fee. This would currently be scheduled as a manual add-on service. Definitely something we can note down and follow up with you on that, though. A question about plans to add a tool that doesn't include surcharges to be discounted. So we don't have any immediate plans to do that, but again, we can most certainly note that down and follow up with you when we do add, if we add that functionality in the future. Awesome, everyone. Well, that seems to be all of the questions that we got during the demo. Thank you again for joining us for today's Rate Increase webinar. We really appreciate you taking some time with us this morning. If you have any questions after this session, you can always contact us by sending an email to support@time2pet.com. We will be including a list of all of the questions that were asked and the answers in the follow-up to this particular video. It takes us about 2 hours or so to process the video, so give us a little bit of time, but we will be following up with an email with a recording of this webinar and to answer any questions that we may have missed. Thanks again, everyone. Like I said, we really appreciate your time. Please stay safe, please stay healthy out there, and definitely let us know if you have any questions.